Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5-Minute Catholic Apologetics and Living, where 5 minutes every time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about the true cross and how you can actually go see the true cross, the cross that Christ was crucified. Now before we begin, let's start with a prayer. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritui Sancti, Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, secutor in principio et nunc et semper, et saecula saeculorum. Amen. Now, this episode is no ways meant to be exhaustive, but I did want to give you a little episode on the true cross, because we've talked about this before. Like, the Catholic Church has the bones of Peter. You can go on a tour. I'm hoping to go on a tour there soon. We know where St. Paul was beheaded. There's a church that was built a long time ago outside of Rome where he was beheaded. We have the bones of St. Mark's. That's in Venice. We have the relics of St. James. That's over in Spain. Nobody has the relics or bones of St. Mary, because we know Mary was assumed, and nobody has the bones of St. Joseph. But we do have the true cross. We have the cross that was Christ, that was crucified on. And some people are like, wow, how is this possible? Well, again, let's take a history lesson, a very quick one. So when Christ died, clearly he had his apostles in Jerusalem, even though they all scattered aside from John. He had his apostles, his extended disciples, and of course Christ had a family. We know the Virgin Mary didn't have any other children, but he had cousins. It's talked about in the Gospels, the brethren of Jesus. And so when Christ died, they know where he was buried. When Christ died, they know where Golgotha was. And so through the first several hundred years of history, the Christians of Jerusalem knew exactly where all these seminal moments happened. You can still today go to the Garden of Gethsemane. Of course, you can go to Nazareth. You can go. There's a church built on the site of the building where Jesus was raised. And so later on, when Christianity was legalized by Constantine, no, Constantine did not create the Catholic Church. Go to that ridiculous idea. We have a video on that. His mother, who was a Christian, Helena, St. Helena, went to the Holy Land because he wanted to bring some of these relics back to the capital. And so she went there, and because there was a vibrant Christian community, and this is like early 300s, she went over there. She found the cross. And what happened was the Romans in the intervening years had leveled out Golgotha, because it was a jagged rock and it was leveled out, and kind of as a for lack of a better word, to the fledgling growing Christian group, because even though they were persecuting it, there were a series of persecutions the previous 300 years Christianity was growing. They had built a pagan temple on the side of Golgotha, and kind of just like, oh yeah, you think Jesus is important, like we're going to do that. And so when Constantine became emperor, he's like, yeah, this isn't going to happen, because he legalized Christianity, and on his deathbed he became a Christian Catholic, right? There was only one group of Christians at the time, the Catholics. He leveled this temple, and he built the first church, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which you can still have today. I don't think the one that's up today was the one that's dated from the 300s, but he built a church on this important site where Christ died. Either way, so Helena went there, and she talked to the local community, and they showed her this is a cistern where this is where the true cross is. And there were several crosses there, so she didn't know which of the three was the one that Christ was on. So this is little tradition, not big oral tradition, little tradition that said that they put somebody who had recently died on or next or touched him to one of these crosses, and he came back to life, and that's how she knew that was the cross that Christ was crucified on. And so she got remnants of this cross and brought them to Rome. And you can go to a church in Rome, and it doesn't have the most original title, but the name of the church is the Church of the True Cross of Jerusalem. It's like the Santa Croce of Jerusalem. And you can go to this church, and this church has the biggest part of the true cross. Now there's shards and shreds and little parts of the true cross that are in different churches throughout the world. But if you're ever in Rome, and as all Catholics should go to Rome, and really honestly all Protestants should go to Rome to see all the history that's there, all the Christian history that's there, definitely go to Santa Croce, this church, because you get to see this is the true cross of that Christ was crucified on. Now, the skeptics will say, well, how do you know, da-da-da-da-da, and so forth. Well, I would say that, is it indubitably, absolutely, 100% true that this is the true cross of Jesus Christ? I don't know if we can 100% indubitably say that. What we can say is that the church says that this is likely a piece of the true cross, and you can go and venerate it if you want. Venerate means pray to it, or pay respect, so to speak, to it. It's not idolatry. We're just like looking, oh my gosh, this is the true cross. Just like if you go to Jerusalem, you can go to all these sites. You're not worshiping the Garden of Gethsemane. You're just like, wow, this is the garden where Christ is at. Or if you go up to Galilee, right, you can go to the place where he did the Sermon on the Mount. You can go to the cliff where he cast the demons into the pigs that they jumped off. We have all this sacred kind of these archaeological sites. Why? Because the early Christians, the Catholics that were in this area, safeguarded where all these important locations were, and so today we are blessed to go to them. And so you don't necessarily have to believe it. It's not like a dogma of the church that this is part of the cross that was crucified, that Jesus was crucified on. So it's a question of you want to believe it or not. Just like the Santa Scala. The Santa Scala is also in Rome. These were the steps of Pilate's palace that later on they moved to Rome. And so a lot of pilgrims that go to Rome will go on these steps, and customarily they'll go on their knees and crawl each step up and do like a decade of a rosary or a Hail Mary as they go up, because these were the same steps that Christ walked. And again, this is not dogma. You don't have to believe that these are actual sites. These are what we would call small tradition. And so you can believe it or not. But either way, if you're in Rome, go check out the piece of the true cross, and you can decide whether or not you want to believe it is or it isn't. That's completely up to you. But I wanted to give this quick history lesson. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.